Alright then, so I just watched the latest episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, episode 118. This episode is the third from last episode of the entire series because we have episode 118, which we just watched, episode 119 is our next one, and 120 is when it finishes. This got me thinking, and I'd like to share a little bit of knowledge that I learnt with all of you guys. So, the next episode is the penultimate episode. I know this word because it is the one away from the last of something, so it's the penultimate. What I didn't realise, though, is the finale of a series is actually referred to as the ultimate. From what I've discovered on the wiki is that something that is ultimate is the last in a series, and it comes from ultima, which means to come to an end. And penultimate is the next to last one, which, fun fact, that comes from the pen, a prefix from Latin pene, which means almost. And that actually got me thinking, is there some word that refers to the third from last of a series? And it turns out there is. So, I'm going to butcher this word, so I'm going to let Google just do it first before I try and pronounce it. So it is the anti-penultimate episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. Fun fact, try and work that into a conversation if you're 3 episodes away from the series finale of something. But yes, we just watched the episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, and it was good. I'll tell you why. Because I got out a Link 6 monster, which was an absolute boss of a monster, which is what we want from our main antagonist in the series. But let's go back to the start of the episode and I'll tell you what I thought. So this episode actually opened a little bit different from the majority that we have seen so far. It's more of a cold opening. It's not so much, we normally get like a little bit of a flashback of what happened in the last episode previously, Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, that kind of stuff. But this one we got straight into the action. We got to see a Cyburst magician come out straight away. So we got to see a ritual summon, and I liked it a little bit later in the episode as well. I responded to this ritual summon with his own ritual summon. And the fact that in this episode, Yusaku is getting out both his code talkers as well as his firewalls, I thought was really awesome. He didn't get out his base firewall dragon, he got out his firewall exceed dragon, and then he went on from that one to summon out his firewall quantum dragon, which I thought was brilliant. But I liked the fields that we had on this episode because people kind of expected it that I would create a wall of all the different attributes of monsters that he's got in his deck, and that came a little bit later towards the episode. But prior to that, he had, I think, one of every type of summoning extra deck mechanic on the field at one point. He had Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, Ritual, and Link, and then I think he had another Link monster. Yeah, his version of the Code Talker, the Templar Knight or something. That was his other Link monster. And then it was a little bit later where he had his Perfect Field, where he managed to get every single one of the attribute monsters associated with his friends. And he even says that once he's got all of them out, that he's going to finally properly unite them all together. And he Link summons using every single one of them to create an absolute boss of a monster, which we'll talk about in a second. Now we get a little bit more of a look into why I is doing the things that he's doing. We already know that he's trying to create a world where AIs basically have a chance. But I feel like he thinks that he's unredeemable now or something, because he's putting himself in a situation where it's kind of a lose-lose for him in terms of who he is as an individual. Because when he wins and all the AIs that he is like replicated get set free, his conscience, basically what makes him truly have free will, is going to be split among all the AIs. So he will cease to exist, but he will be sort of separated and split between everyone. So that'll be essentially Ai's death. And of course, if Yusaku wins this duel, Ai will be just deleted and all the AIs will be gone from there. So it kind of is a lose-lose situation for Ai. And Yusaku actually notices this and says, you basically orchestrated this whole thing so that I have to choose the way you die. So it's quite a big theme that we've got going on here with what Ai is trying to do. And the only problem with it, I think, is the fact that even Yusaku's like, is there no situation where, you know, we can just all be buddy-buddy, be friends? He's like, nope, none whatsoever. And I don't really know how he's come to this point, really. I understand that he's saying all these different things, like humanity and AIs can't really live together. Based on what is happening right now, this is further proof to this. But I don't know, it does seem a little bit rushed, considering that the series is coming to a quicker end than we thought. Ai's ideology overall isn't the best, and the fact that our main protagonist, Yusaku, isn't the most energetic in conversations. I like that he's always to the point and he's very serious, but sometimes he just doesn't ask the questions that I want him to ask. He just kind of just sort of goes with it. So I would like a bit more of Yusaku trying to sort out what's trying to happen in this situation. I don't know, that'll probably happen in the next 2 episodes, but that's just my little grievances with the series at the moment. There's a lot of themes of being alone and being sad in this episode as well. Like, Yusaku's trying to relate to Ai, and Ai seems to be able to relate to Yusaku with both the aloneness they have both felt and the sadness. And Yusaku does say, like, well, we could be with each other to sort of sort that out, but he's having none of it, so never mind. But it was nice that I did say that he wanted to be with Playmaker at the very end, so yeah. Those are the big conversational points, I think, in this episode that we should probably focus on. For reference, when I got out the Water Leviathan Dragon before, and its effect was that everything with 2,300 or less original attack, is destroyed on the field, I called back in that episode review that he would use it against Decode Talker, against Yusaku, and that's exactly what happened. He destroyed the 2,300 or less attack point monsters. His original attack was that, so it was destroyed. I just wanted to say it, I called it, I knew that was going to happen. Of course it was. I also knew that obviously Templar and Decode would talk. That was kind of spoiled in the opening. We all knew that was going to happen. It does almost seem as if Ai's deck is almost built to counter Yusaku specifically. But that kind of fits, that kind of makes sense. But the Link 6 monster that Ai is able to get out, I got its name wrong at first, but apparently it's called the Arrival Cyburst at Ignista or something like that. It's referred to as the Arrival, but I haven't actually checked. I'll check it right now, actually. This will be a smart thing to do. So its name, I thought, was Cyburst at Ignista, and I thought it was just, this is the arrival of my monster, Cyburst at Ignista, but it turns out its actual name is The Arrival Cyburst at Ignista. Now, I did actually write down a bunch of its effects here, but we might as well just read its actual real effect. So it requires 2 or more monsters with 1,500 or more attack that have different attributes, which is what he used in this episode. He used 6 different ones. The original attack of this card becomes 1,000 times the number of link materials used to link summon this monster. I used 6, so it had 6k to begin with. It gains 1,000 attack for each card you control. He had 4 cards on his side of the field, so it had 10,000 attack. Once per turn, you can place 1 counter on this card. That will come into play a little bit later. When this card has a counter, it is unaffected by other cards' effects, so that is what happens at the end of the episode. Spoilers. Once per turn, you can target 1 monster in the field, destroy it, and if you do, special summon 1 at Ignista token. He uses that against Clock Dragon. Because he got a token as well, there was an extra card on the field, so it gained another 1,000 attack, so it had like 11k attack. Something mad like that. The arrows point up, left, right, down, down left, and down right. So it's an absolute unstoppable beast of a monster. So yeah, that's the kind of monster you want for a final antagonist monster. This reminds me like Zark, when Zark's got out his Zark monster. I think Zark is a fantastic boss monster for like a final antagonist, and I think this one's just as good as well. This one reminds me a little bit more of something like Don 1000. I don't know why, but just because that had like 10k attack. That was kind of its like base attack, but this is good. I see the only way of getting this monster down in attack is by getting rid of all the other cards in the field, but because he is able to get out the little... He got a link monster that points to this monster, and you have to get rid of this, the Arrival, in order to get rid of that other monster. So if he wants to win the duel, he has to get rid of the Arrival and then attack the little link monster that he's got out, I think is what Yusaku has to do. And Yusaku did a really good play where he was able to get out his Quantum Dragon. He was able to attack into his monster, and the plan was to bounce the monster back to his hand. However, we all knew that a Link 6 monster was not going to go down that easy. So obviously its effect was if it has a counter on... it doesn't even have to remove the counter, I don't think. While this card has a counter, it's unaffected by other card effects. So I don't even know how you get rid of a counter off this monster. It hasn't been listed just yet. That might come into play in the next episode, but... It's just, I think, completely immune to card effects. I think the only way to stop it is like chaining like a skill drain to it just before it can get a token on it. I don't know. I actually don't know how you stop that. So I actually don't know how Yusaku's going to beat it because he attacks into it with his Quantum Dragon. Its effect is negated, so the attack's going to go through. If that attack goes through, he's going to lose all his life points. That's not what's going to happen, obviously. Yusaku is definitely going to win. We see in the preview for the next episode... a lot of footage with the Light Ignis, so maybe it was the Light Ignis sort of influencing Ai a little tiny bit, but I don't know. I'm curious to see what that's going at. So maybe he's sort of been like itching at the back of his brain, sort of manipulating the decisions he's been making. I don't know. Maybe he needs to conquer that part of his combination form. Not too sure just yet. Regardless, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was good. It started off with a lot of the link summoning plays, which can get a bit boring sometimes, just seeing people just do these long turns of just going link after link after link. But the fact that he's getting out all of the different attribute monsters I thought was cool. Getting out the big monster was awesome. People really want to see a Link 8 monster in the Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS series before the series ends. And it's possible that it could happen. Yusaku could do it in like the final episode or this next episode in order to beat this monster, get a monster with even higher attack points than it out. It's possible. Do I think it's going to happen? It's 50-50 really. There's a strong chance it won't, but the chance is there regardless. But yeah, overall I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was good. I, as an antagonist, is still fantastic. He's cracking jokes in the middle of duels. His maths is absolutely awful. He says he's doing it on purpose, but he's like, 6 + 1, that's 8. And then he gets out his level 7 monster. So there's loads of good moments like that in this. It makes I a little bit of a shame that we don't get to see more of him as an antagonist, but regardless, good episode. I'd love to know what you all thought in the comment section below. What do you think of this duel so far? And what do you think of the rival Cyburst at Ignister monster? It's a mouthful of a name, but it looks pretty cool. Guys, thank you all for watching this review. We've got 2 more episodes left. This was the anti-penultimate episode. Next time will be the penultimate one, and then we've got the ultimate episode. So I hope you all enjoy. Guys, catch you later.